Guys, hope all of us are doing great. My name is Ernest, and this is Ernest Sciences and Mathematics TV channel. So today we're going to look at an aspect of geometry, and that is basically going to be a concept of perpendicular bisectors. Now, this particular aspect is going to be one of the characteristics that we're going to use in describing some of the aspects of geometry. And we had talked about the concept of rays, points, angles, and perhaps segments in our introductory part. This is going to assist us describe one of the aspects of geometry, especially on the concept of perpendiculars and this particular aspect of bisectors. Now, if I try to give the aspect of a perpendicular line, we would say that a perpendicular line is a line that is going to, or a perpendicular angle is an angle that is going to be constituting over two rays, which are going to, of course, form a vertex that is going to be 90 degrees. So suppose I have two specific rays, which is OR and OS, forming an angle of 90 degrees. And therefore, this is along the X and Y axis. And therefore, I'm going to describe as angle S, just give it as such, angle SOR, which is going to be perpendicular, of course, to angle, I can just be able to describe as angle angle SOR as a perpendicular angle, which is going to form 90 degrees. Now, in this particular case, if I consider the case of this particular x-axis as a line, I'm going to have this one extension in the negative direction and have a point P, and therefore I'm going to form OP as another array which is going to be extending in the opposite direction. Now, the line, we can be able to describe a line OS. Also, suppose we just give them we can be able to describe a line Y as perpendicular bisector of line X, or the X-axis, or we can be able to describe, let me give them as line I. Going to be a lot of notation, but take note of this. Let me give them as I and M to differentiate between these other notations. So I can be able to describe angle I or line I as a perpendicular bisector of line M using this specific illustration. Now, in this particular case, then therefore a perpendicular bisector is going to be a line that is going to divide a particular segment particularly into two equal parts. And we can be able to see that if I have a segment PR, which I'm going to describe as such, and therefore this particular segment is going to be divided along this point O, whereby OP and OR are going to be equal. So for me to describe a perpendicular bisector, which is going to be I, and therefore I is going to divide, this is a PR segment, into two equal parts, and these parts in this particular case, then therefore I'm going to refer to as a segment PO given as such, and the segment OR given as such. So therefore, this particular line is going to be referred to as a perpendicular bisector. Now, one of the characteristics of these perpendicular bisectors is that the particular distance between OP and OR are going to be equal. That is one of the characteristics. And then every point on this specific perpendicular bisector, as we said that this one OS can be a segment, and any other point in between them, then therefore is going to be one of the characteristics of that specific segment. Therefore, any point in between OS on this particular line I is going to be forming an equidistant, or is going to be equidistant from the two endpoints. So this one implies that if I have a point in between OS, perhaps a point X, then point X is going to be equidistant from the endpoints which I've described. So this point X, which I've described as R and P given as such. So this particular length and this one is going to be equal. So for a perpendicular bisector I that is dividing a line M, the distance between PX and Rx are going to be equal, so long as that specific point lies along the segment OS given as such. So those are the two basic characteristics of perpendiculars that we're going to look at in this specific section. And of course, they're going to assist us in describing various aspects of other perpendicular bisectors so that we may come across for angles, perhaps segments and lines in this or in other subsequent discussions. So in summary form, I've said that a perpendicular bisector is going to be a line that is going to divide the segment lines into equal parts. And this, of course, there is going to be a point on this specific perpendicular bisector x that is going to be equidistant from these endpoints. And of course, the distance between the segment PO and OR are going to be equal in that specific order. So therefore, and of course, I say that, or lastly, I can be able to say that the angle SOR is going to be an equivalent angle to angle. So this is SOR, SOP are going to be equal in that specific order. So those are some of the characteristics of these specific perpendicular bisectors that we're going to come across. So kindly check our description boxes for links of various other videos, and subscribe to our channel to get various updates on different uploads we're going to do in geometry. So that is it for now, guys. Bye, God bless you. Catch us in our next video.